It was a typical Wednesday morning in Washington, D.C., but behind the walls of the White House, tension was mounting. The United States was dealing with a global economic crisis, and at the heart of the recovery plan stood the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, a newly established powerhouse led by none other than Elon Musk. As senior advisor to President Donald Trump, Musk had taken the reins of DOGE with a singular mission: to bring order to the chaos, streamline the government, and harness the power of technology to revolutionize the way the nation operated. The Department of Government Efficiency, created to reform everything from bureaucratic inefficiencies to outdated systems, had become an essential element of the Trump administration. DOGE, often seen as a symbol of hope for a modernized government, had garnered global attention. But as with anything of power and significance, it had its enemies. And one enemy, a hacker known only as Shadow, was about to strike. The first signs of trouble came when Musk's trusted aides received an encrypted message. At first glance, it seemed like a routine update from the cyber defense team. But as they dug deeper, the reality set in. Shadow was trying to destroy DOGE, specifically Musk's ambitious plans to leverage Dogecoin as the cornerstone of government efficiency. As the hours ticked by, the team worked tirelessly to uncover the full extent of the attack. The hacker had breached DOGE's security systems and was now attempting to manipulate the blockchain of Dogecoin itself, making it unstable and unusable for the government's digital projects. With billions of dollars at stake, this wasn't just a cyber attack, it was an act of war. Musk, who had been monitoring the situation closely, knew that he had to take immediate action. He sat down in his office, facing a massive screen displaying real-time data on the attack. His mind raced through potential solutions, but this was no ordinary hack. This was a direct assault on the very thing he had worked so hard to create. "I need to meet with the president," Musk muttered to himself. "This is bigger than we thought." Within minutes, Musk found himself in the Oval Office with President Donald Trump. Trump was known for his ability to handle pressure, but even he looked concerned. The stakes were high. If Dogecoin's credibility was destroyed, it could set back not just the United States, but the entire global financial system that had begun adopting digital currencies. "Elon," Trump said, his voice stern. "We need a plan. You're the expert here. What do we do?" Musk leaned forward, his expression serious. "I need to confront the hacker. This isn't just about protecting DOGE, this is about sending a message. No one can disrupt the future we're building for this country. Shadow has underestimated what we're capable of." The president nodded, his confidence in Musk unwavering. "You have my full support. Let's get this done." But Musk knew that confronting a hacker like Shadow wasn't going to be easy. This individual had proven to be a ghost, leaving no trace behind, moving through the shadows of the dark web. Musk had to think strategically. It wasn't just about finding Shadow, it was about outsmarting him. As Musk prepared to make his next move, he couldn't help but feel the weight of the moment. The future of Dogecoin, and by extension, the future of the United States' technological dominance, hung in the balance. But Musk had always thrived under pressure. And today, he would prove that no hacker, no matter how skilled, could stand in the way of progress. Elon Musk knew that in order to find and confront Shadow, he would need to go beyond conventional methods. A hacker of Shadow's caliber didn't leave a trail easily, and simply tracking down their digital footprint wouldn't be enough. This was going to take more than just cybersecurity tactics. Musk, ever the innovator, would have to leverage his own genius and use unconventional methods. After a brief conversation with the president, Musk made a decision. The attack was sophisticated, but so was Musk. He reached out to a team of elite hackers, former rivals turned allies, who had helped him with other projects in the past. These were the kind of people who thrived in the shadows but played by Musk's rules. They were going to take the fight to Shadow's turf. The team gathered in a hidden, highly secure facility within Washington, D.C. Musk sat at the center, surrounded by some of the brightest minds in cybersecurity. The strategy was clear. They would trace the origin of Shadow's attacks using blockchain analysis, but more importantly, they would force the hacker out of hiding. "Elon, we've cracked the initial encryption," one of the hackers said, looking at Musk with urgency. "But it's complex. Shadow's been using obfuscation tactics, disguising the signal, routing it through multiple countries. This isn't just about a breach, it's a game of cat and mouse." Musk remained calm, his mind already racing ahead. "Let's make it a game they can't win. Use everything we have, but we need to think like Shadow. He's clever, but so are we. We know how he operates. We just need to push him." The team worked around the clock, mapping out Shadow's movements across the globe. They tracked his every attempt to destabilize the Dogecoin blockchain, pinpointing the moment he made a fatal error. He tried to use a decentralized VPN service but left a tiny fingerprint, a slip-up that was barely noticeable but significant enough to be exploited. "We've got him," Musk said, a rare glint of satisfaction in his eyes. "This ends now." Musk and his team coordinated with law enforcement agencies across the globe, but they had one crucial advantage. Musk was one of the few people with the authority to move fast enough to capture someone of Shadow's caliber. As the search narrowed, Musk's mind began to prepare for the inevitable confrontation. The hacker was based in a remote location deep within the heart of Eastern Europe. Musk's team had triangulated his position with incredible precision. It wasn't just about stopping the hack anymore, it was about sending a message to anyone else who thought they could disrupt the future of American innovation. As the operation ramped up, Musk prepared for the hardest part of his plan, confronting the hacker face to face. The location was a small, nondescript warehouse on the outskirts of a city in Eastern Europe. The area was known for being a haven for hackers and cybercriminals who operated under the radar, far from the reach of global authorities. But today, this obscure location would be the setting for a showdown that would reverberate throughout the world. Musk's private jet touched down on a nearby airstrip, and within hours, a well-coordinated team of U.S. Special Forces, along with Musk's elite cybersecurity team, surrounded the warehouse. Everything had been planned to perfection, but Musk knew that things could still go wrong. Hackers like Shadow weren't just physically dangerous, they were mentally sharp, capable of turning even the most secure situations into chaos. "Are you sure about this, Elon?" one of his cybersecurity experts asked, voice tinged with concern. "We've got the location. We've got the intel. But confronting him face to face? This could be a trap." Musk's expression remained calm. "If it's a trap, we'll deal with it. We've already lost too much time trying to play catch-up. This ends tonight. Shadow needs to know that no one, not even him, can mess with DOGE." The team entered the warehouse cautiously, weapons drawn, scanning every corner for potential threats. Musk led the charge, a steady presence in the chaos. They moved with precision, every step calculated. The warehouse was eerily silent, save for the distant hum of computers. Then, out of the shadows, came the hacker himself, Shadow. He was a man in his early 30s, dressed in dark, nondescript clothing. His face was obscured by a mask, but his eyes, sharp and calculating, betrayed his true nature. He wasn't surprised to see Musk, he had known this confrontation was inevitable. What surprised Musk was the calm, almost casual demeanor that Shadow exuded. Well, Elon Musk," Shadow said, his voice smooth and eerily composed. "I've been expecting you. Or should I say, I've been expecting this." Musk stood firm, unwavering. "You tried to destroy DOGE. You've made a mistake, Shadow. And now you're going to pay the price." Shadow's lips curled into a faint smile, his hands casually resting on the desk in front of him. The room, illuminated by the glow of countless monitors, felt like an oppressive digital fortress. Shadow had prepared for this moment just as Musk had. "I'm not the one who made the mistake, Musk," Shadow replied, his tone almost mocking. "You think you can control the future with a digital currency? You've only just begun to scratch the surface of what's possible. DOGE is just the beginning. You've already started a revolution, but you've also opened the floodgates to chaos. This was never about money, it was about power." Musk narrowed his eyes, analyzing every word that came from Shadow's mouth. He wasn't just a hacker. He was a visionary, someone who saw the world in a way that could either shape or destroy it. Musk had always known that technology, in the wrong hands, could become a weapon of mass destruction. And now here was the person who had nearly brought down one of the most powerful forces in the world. "You've got a twisted view of the world, Shadow," Musk said, his voice steady. "You think this is about power? You think I'm some kind of puppet master? The reality is, we're building something bigger than any one person. Something that can change the way nations operate. I don't control DOGE. DOGE controls itself. It's decentralized, and that's the point. It's a platform for everyone, not just the elite. You can't stop it." Shadow's eyes flickered, a brief hint of frustration crossing his face. "You're naive, Musk. You think you can create a utopia with DOGE? People don't want decentralization. They want control. They want order. And the moment they realize that DOGE is just another system, just another tool to control them, they'll abandon it. I was just trying to speed up the inevitable." Musk took a deep breath. "And that's where you're wrong. People want freedom. They want choice. That's what DOGE is about. And you can't stop it. You tried to destroy it and you failed. You tried to manipulate the blockchain and we stopped you." Shadow's smile faded. For the first time, there was a hint of uncertainty in his eyes. Musk could see it. The hacker wasn't as confident as he appeared. Musk had done what he did best, turned the tables. "You're right," Shadow said, his voice suddenly losing some of its earlier bravado. "I didn't anticipate the level of protection you've built around Doge. But this is bigger than a digital currency. You've made enemies with people who have resources far beyond your wildest dreams. You think this is the end? It's just the beginning." Musk stepped forward, his gaze unwavering. "You're out of your depth, Shadow. This is over. You can keep fighting, but you'll never win. The people have already spoken. And the future is unstoppable." As Shadow was taken into custody, Musk felt a momentary sense of relief. But deep down, he knew that this victory was just one battle in a much larger war. The forces that had aligned against Doge and its ideals were far from defeated. But Musk also knew that with each passing day, the vision for a better, more efficient future would continue to grow stronger. The air was thick with tension as Elon Musk left the warehouse, the sound of his boots echoing on the cold concrete floor. Shadow was in custody, but Musk knew that this wasn't the end. This was merely a temporary victory, and the true battle lay ahead. The capture of Shadow had sent shockwaves through the hacker underground, and it became clear that Musk's victory over one rogue actor only made the stakes higher. The hacker had been just a cog in a much larger machine, a machine that Musk, despite his brilliance, was only beginning to understand. Back in the safety of the White House, President Donald Trump awaited Musk's debrief. The atmosphere in the Oval Office was tense, though the president's demeanor remained steady. He had learned long ago that in moments of crisis, remaining calm and collected was essential. "Elon, you've done it. You've captured the hacker," Trump said, leaning back in his chair with a satisfied grin. "You've got my congratulations. But I can see there's something more you're not telling me. What's going on?" Musk took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "The problem isn't over. Shadow was just a pawn in a much larger game. When I was speaking to him, I realized something: he's not working alone. There's a network of people behind this, people who've been planning this for months, maybe even years." Trump's face hardened. "So this wasn't just a one-off cyber attack. This is a coordinated assault on Doge and likely the future of America's digital economy." Musk nodded. "Exactly. And it's not just about Doge anymore. It's about the entire infrastructure we've been building. There are forces out there who want to control technology, not to improve lives, but to monopolize power. They saw Doge as a threat because it represents freedom and decentralization." President Trump leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "And you think they'll strike again?" "I don't think it." "I know it," Musk said firmly. "These people aren't just hackers. They're strategists, business magnates, and power brokers. They have influence. And we've made ourselves a target by challenging the status quo." As Musk and the president discussed their next steps, the true scale of the threat began to crystallize. Shadow's actions were only the beginning of a much larger global conspiracy, one that had the potential to bring down not just the future of Doge but the very idea of a decentralized, efficient government system. Musk had created a ripple, but there were forces out there creating waves. In the weeks that followed, Musk and his team went into full-on defensive mode, working tirelessly to secure Doge and protect it from any future attacks. Musk implemented tighter security protocols, leveraging the latest in artificial intelligence and blockchain technology to fortify Doge's infrastructure. But even as he made progress, he couldn't shake the feeling that something larger was at play. Then came the anonymous messages. At first, it was just a few cryptic lines posted on encrypted forums that Musk knew to monitor. But as the weeks passed, the messages became more frequent and more direct. "We see you, Elon Musk." One message read, "You think you've won, but you've only delayed the inevitable. Doge is only a stepping stone in the grand scheme. The revolution is coming, and you can't stop it." Musk felt the weight of the words. These weren't idle threats. They were a declaration of war. Whoever was behind this wasn't just a rogue hacker. They were an organized, well-funded movement with a clear agenda. But Musk wasn't the type to back down. He knew that the battle for the future was bigger than any individual, any country, or any corporation. It was about creating a system where individuals were free to control their own destiny, unshackled from the old guard of monopolies and centralized power structures. The world had been changed, and now it was up to him to protect that future. Still, Musk couldn't shake the feeling that this time, the stakes were higher. The messages kept coming, each one more ominous than the last. And then, the final one arrived. "Shadow was just a pawn. You'll soon learn who the true players are." The chilling message weighed heavily on Musk's mind. The hacker known as Shadow had been just a pawn, And now, the real players were making their move. For the first time in his life, Elon Musk found himself facing an enemy that wasn't just trying to exploit technology for personal gain. They were after something much more dangerous. They were trying to reshape the very fabric of society. The following days were filled with strategic meetings and constant surveillance. Musk's team worked around the clock, tracing every lead, trying to decipher the cryptic messages, and preparing for whatever came next. He knew that the danger wasn't just digital. It was physical, too. The people behind this operation were well-funded and well-connected, capable of striking at any moment. One afternoon, Musk sat alone in his office, going through the encrypted messages again. His thoughts were interrupted by a call from President Trump. "Elon, we need to talk." Trump's voice was firm but calm. "I've just received some intel. It's not good." Musk's heart sank. "What is it?" Shadow wasn't just some rogue hacker, Trump explained. He was part of a larger movement that's been slowly infiltrating governments and industries across the globe. Their goal isn't just to stop DOGE, it's to control everything. They have a network that reaches deep into financial markets, tech giants, and even some government bodies. This isn't just a cyber attack, it's a coordinated geopolitical power play. Musk's mind raced. He had suspected something like this, but hearing it confirmed made it all the more real. "We've been played," Musk muttered. "They've been using DOGE as a means to destabilize things, and now they want to consolidate power." "Yes," Trump agreed. "But there's more. The messages you've been receiving? They're not just threats. They're a warning. The real mastermind behind this operation isn't just some hacker, there's someone with the resources to change the entire game." Musk sat back in his chair, digesting the weight of the information. "Who are they?" "I don't know yet," Trump replied, "but I've been investigating. And there's one name that keeps coming up, a name that links back to a series of high-profile figures. The power structure behind these attacks is a shadowy coalition of tech moguls, financial oligarchs, and former intelligence officers who have been working together for years." Musk's face tightened with determination. "And they're using DOGE as a stepping stone to consolidate their power. This is bigger than we thought. We need to go on the offensive." "I agree," Trump said, his voice steady. "But we'll need to be careful. These people don't play by the rules. They'll do anything to protect their interests." "But Elon, we've got your back. We'll expose them. We'll take this fight to them and we'll make sure the world knows the truth." Musk's resolve hardened. He had created DOGE not just as a financial tool but as a symbol of the future of a world where power wasn't concentrated in the hands of a few but spread across everyone. Now, that vision was under attack by forces that saw it as a threat to their stranglehold on global influence. "I'm not backing down," Musk said firmly. "We've got a revolution to protect." The next few weeks were filled with a flurry of activity. Musk, alongside President Trump and key members of the government, launched a full-scale investigation into the global conspiracy. They called on intelligence agencies, cybersecurity experts, and global leaders to help uncover the network of players pulling the strings behind Shadow and the larger operation. It didn't take long for them to uncover a web of connections that spanned continents. This wasn't just an isolated attack. It was part of a larger movement that aimed to undermine the very foundation of democracy, free markets, and decentralized power. And the more they uncovered, the more they realized that this group was working on a timeline to roll out a new world order, one that would see global control concentrated in the hands of a few elites who would have the power to dictate everything, from economic policy to personal freedoms. Musk's vision for DOGE had always been about decentralization, freedom, and individual empowerment. But now he saw that the fight for DOGE wasn't just about a cryptocurrency, it was a battle for the soul of the future itself. One evening, as Musk sat alone in his office, deep in thought, a final message arrived, this time from an unexpected source. It was an encrypted video file marked as urgent. Musk hesitated for a moment before opening it. The screen flickered and a familiar face appeared, Shadow. But this wasn't the Shadow Musk had confronted earlier. This man was older, wearing a well-tailored suit, and his face was no longer obscured by a mask. He looked directly into the camera with a calm, almost regal demeanor. "Mr. Musk," the man began, his voice smooth and controlled, "I hope you've enjoyed our little game, but you must understand, this was never about DOGE. It was always about power. The future is not something you can control. It is something you must shape, and the time has come for a new world order. What you've built with DOGE is just a small part of the revolution. The real game begins now. Welcome to the future." The video ended abruptly, leaving Musk in stunned silence. It was clear now, this wasn't just about one rogue hacker or even a group of cybercriminals. This was a war for control of the world's future, and the battle was far from over. With a sense of renewed purpose, Musk stood up from his desk, looking out the window at the stars above. The fight for freedom, for innovation, for a better future. He wasn't about to let it slip away. "This is just the beginning," he muttered to himself.